All right, folks, welcome in Yankees Unload. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. And today we are trying to make sense of, maybe even some of this is therapy for all of us. When you start to see during the trade deadline random rumors come out, and they're not always the case, but random rumors come out to the point where it's like not even good players being linked to your team. That's when things get, this is scary hour right now.
Do you mean Dustin May?
I'm talking about Dustin May. What, I don't know what the hell to make of that. Well, I do. He's not good. But regardless of that, Dustin May, 4.80 ERA and a rental is already linked to the... No. The word usage was the Yankees are front runners for Dustin. You know what's funny? Gary, nobody uses the term front runner for something that nobody wants. Notice how they use that for sweepstakes. They use it for Juan Soto. They use it for Suarez. They don't use it for Dustin May. So
I used to go to Yankees.com and I used to see superstars. I don't know if anyone else used to do this, but obviously back in the day before, it was like while we have internet, it was a little tweener time, right? There was no Twitter. There was no IG. And Christopher says he's scared. Yeah, you're sitting there going, oh, Yankees.com. Oh, we're front runners on this guy. The name was exclusively a good player already, not some Matt Blake fixed job. Now, mind you, if we got Dustin May, it'd probably be somebody we'd throw out to the bullpen and he wouldn't pitch well. And I'll tell you right now, Jake, just about 10 days ago, before we brought on any of our guests or we really started talking about the deadline, one of the first things out of your mouth was that the Yankees, we just can't afford to be taking any risks when it comes to the deadline. And you don't mean getting rid of players. You meant bringing in players that we have to fix. Someone that we need to figure it out. We don't have that much time. We're talking about 55 to 56 games left on the season. Why would we bring in a player that Matt Blake has to do some wizardry to actually get some type of output? He's not pitching well for the Dodgers, who everyone says has such a good system to fix players. And now suddenly we're supposed to believe it's like Caleb Ferguson all over again.
Yeah, no, I don't like this at all. Just full disclosure, I don't. And Gary doesn't like it. We texted immediately and we're like, there's no way. Like, you know it's bad when you just rather have Marcus Stroman over whoever they're going to like rumored to get. So that was one player. Then Willie Castro got linked to them. Harrison Bader, who I see a lot of people say, I want nothing to do with Harrison Bader. And like, that's fine. That's your prerogative. I'm actually going to disagree. And here's why. I think he's already proven in a limited amount of time. He's proven not only is he a great fielder, but he came up pretty big in the postseason with the Yankees. Like, he actually showed that October wasn't too big for him. So I actually don't mind if they were to get a Harrison Bader, but today's prompt, if you will, is Brian Cashman neglecting the bullpen this trade deadline? I actually like Harrison Bader, and if they were to pick him up after addressing the bullpen, I'm not against it, Gary. But if they pick him up and then they go out and get Enyel De Los Santos and his clone and his brother from down the street, I'm not going to be very happy. So right now, I think we're watching it. All I can say is this. Yankees Unloaded comment section right now is crashing out because they don't know what's going on. And I don't know what's going on. And you don't know what's going on because now we're going on to the 29th. And we've talked about it. It is a lot of time between now and Thursday, right? But at the same time, it's not a lot of time. And it just seems like more and more there's nothing linking the Yankees to a bullpen arm. And say what you will, today wasn't lost by the bullpen. Today was lost by the fact that the Yankees really couldn't hit today, right? They had 6 hits, and, you know, they came at the end. And I get that. But the bullpen is still important here. And the other thing that's really important is you lose this 4-2 game. You use Hedrick, you use Hamilton, you use Weaver, you use Hale, you use Brubaker. Well, now some of those guys are going to have to go tomorrow because you already don't have a lot of depth. So while Hedrick looked great, 3 strikeouts in 1 2/3, Brubaker's looked really good. You still need other guys. We're not saying that there isn't the potential for a bullpen arm to pitch well here and there. The reality is right now, they don't have a lot of depth and they don't have a lot of guys where you're like, Yeah, he's in my circle of trust. What is a circle of trust? The Yankees don't have enough pitchers in their bullpen to form a damn circle. There's no trust.
Yeah, the personnel, it just doesn't make sense. So you guys can think what you want about Boone, and I feel like as critical as anyone about this manager. And you can be a bad manager or somewhere in between. And if you don't have the personnel to win, you look at your bullpen, a couple of those names that you listed, I'm not comfortable with those guys pitching. Or at the very least, they're still somewhat of a project. They're not going to be pitching in October. It's a problem. And I get it, injuries to Cruz, right, and Leiter Jr., but it's Leiter Jr. and Cruz, right? So Yankee Fangirl for Life, who's obviously a member here, I wanted to throw her comment up here. A lot of people were asking me. I think I got about 32 DMs. It looked like a Bible. In my DMs on Twitter, people asking me why that situation happened with Ben Rice. Ben Rice didn't pinch hit for Paul Goldschmidt. And mind you, or pinch hit for Wells. I actually got both of those in my comments. And I think it had a lot to do with Fairbanks has reverse splits. He just tends to get lefties out. So I think that tends to be the mentality. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's not. Because sometimes logic doesn't necessarily follow the Yankees. There's not really a pattern to what we do. But I'm going to assume that those splits are the reason why. Yeah, I see Cheeks in the comment, but not actually Cheeks. I just saw the comment, and I thought for a second we might have had it. But yeah.
Someone, we need the bat signal, but it's just Cheeks.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to say this about when you were mentioning some of these outfielders, right? Right-handed outfielder. My question to you, and mind you, I don't have a problem, right, with a Bader joining this team. It's not about him in a vacuum. It's more about, and this has been my biggest problem with the Yankees over the years, roster construction. If you bring in a player that's a good outfielder, he's going to hit 240, 250. He's got some pop, but he's not going to be a problem out there in the outfield. Where's he playing? Because if I remember correctly, just yesterday, we heard that Aaron Judge is going to be DHing. He has an elbow problem. So now that that's happening, Giancarlo Stanton is going out to the outfield in order to get his bat in the lineup, something you said, and I understand what you're saying. I almost want to agree with you, but I assume the defense is going to be so bad it's just not going to work. So is all of a sudden Bader going to be on this team? Are the Yankees going to go into a wild card series with what? Bader in right field, Grisham in center field, and Cody Bellinger in left, and say, we trust this defensive alignment? I just don't understand the deployment. How you utilize depth.
I mean, he's technically too, and this in a way creates a problem, right? Because he's too good to be on the bench. So, like,
you don't think they'd find a situation where they want to start? Because mind you, he had really good splits against left-handed pitching, and you'd remember this. Yeah. Obviously, we were covering that. So what happens if all of a sudden the Yankees get themselves into a situation where Giancarlo maybe goes 0 for 5? With 3 Ks in a postseason series, the first game of a wild card. And you turn around, the next day you're seeing a lefty and the Yankees are like, oh, we want to see what Bader can do. That directly impacts, in a negative way, Giancarlo's bat, which is essentially the only reason he's on this team. So I just don't understand the fit. I don't think Bader's a bad player. I think he can be on a postseason team. Obviously, you're talking about utility player, a player situationally to be used, and also joining a great team that doesn't have a team need in the infield or in their bullpen. The Yankees right now, to sort of address the title of this video, it doesn't seem like bullpen is much of a priority, despite all of the hoopla that we heard, not just this past week, but months ago. We were asking Brian Cashman, not us, but whether it be Talking Yanks, whether it be Meredith, right? It doesn't matter who it was. Yeah. They were coming back to pitching. And yet we walk in, and we see reports right here from Jack Curry says the Yankees want another left-handed reliever and a swing and miss reliever. When did you guys hear that? Oh, that's right, last year. And last year, they got Mark Leiter Jr. and Delos Meatballs. They failed to complete exactly what they told us that they were essentially seeking. So you just can't trust what they say they're interested in. And that's a reason, by the way, Jake, for these fans who are sitting in our comment section wondering, should this team give up? Should this team let go of the rope? Why should I watch this team? Are they presenting confidence? Are they going to project confidence where I know they're going to solve our problems at this deadline? There are a lot of people in our comments right now that have no confidence whatsoever that we're just simply going to be aggressive, and that's not a good thing. It's not good.
No, right now this team is 15-24 since June 13th, which is just not good, obviously. And the names that were kind of attached to the Yankees, if anything, I guess I like I said, I like Bader. Willie Castro's a switch hitter. They feel like he can play multiple positions, although I don't think he's a good defensive guy.
Yeah, you're not high on him, are you?
But I mean, I take his bat, like the same way Rosario was today. I think they're kind of signaling a few things with this. If this is real, this could just be a smokescreen, but it's one of those things like, I don't know. You ever play Call of Duty and you throw a smoke grenade and it just goes off and no one's around and you're just like, wow.
Yeah, it's like my teammates. They'll throw a flashbang around the corner and there's no one over there.
Oh, yeah, we used to play together. So, yes, we know exactly. Yes, that's exactly what's happening, I think. They're doing like the whole smoke screen thing. But at the same time, it does make sense. There's two things that can come of this. One, the Yankees are going to get more situational with their deployment off the bench. We already saw it today. Ahmed Rosario. I give him a lot of credit for putting Ahmed Rosario in over Jason Dominguez. That's not easy to do. A lot of people hated that. I loved that deployment because Ahmed Rosario comes up and he's hitting .299 against lefties, okay? Jason Dominguez is struggling against lefties. I felt like that was a no-brainer. A lot of people didn't like that. Just trust, the feel and everything. I disagree. I thought that was a great move by Aaron Boone today. I disagreed with him because then he'll do something good. And then the same thing applies later on. And you're like, oh, okay, Paul Goldschmidt is up next. Oh, Ben Rice, easy. No.
Yeah, you would
Paul
think,
Goldschmidt.
okay, well, the ninth inning is just going to it's just going to be straight across the board, which is why a lot of fans, as you're bringing up, Jake, they're trying. We understand the team's not going to be, they're not going to be coached the way that we would coach them. They're not going to be, the general manager's not going to make trades that all of what we approve of. And Aaron Boone just said the other day, he doesn't give a rip what any of us think. It's exactly what he said. And if you don't believe me, go watch the video. And you sort of look up and say, all right, well, the Yankees are sort of coming into this where you've got no bullpen and they're treating it like it's no big deal whether we make this move on the 31st or we make it on the 28th. We've got like 2 or 3 games up until that point. That's major. And you see this super chat from T. Thank you for the 2. Thank you for supporting Yankees Unloaded. Ask the question, will the Yankees make the playoffs? And we had this discussion about 5 days ago. And there were a lot of people. Obviously, it's a lot of doom and gloom. At the time, we were in much better position than we are today. You just mentioned their record of late. It's not even a 500 ball club. That's how bad.
No, they're one of the worst teams in the league right now.
We're one of the worst baseball teams in Major League Baseball. Now, some people are going to listen to that and be like, oh, it's not that bad. No, we're not telling you what we think of the team right there. We're simply telling you about the results and perhaps why that's happening, and it's personnel. The issue, you have a problem at manager, and I don't love everything Boone's doing. Matter of fact, I don't like a lot of what he's doing. But I will say, to be fair, and you brought this up yesterday, Jake, you can't look at a manager, no matter how bad or how good he is, and say, hey, go win games with no bullpen. Go win games where you can't fit your best bats in your lineup. It doesn't work. Ben Rice will have a great game, and the very next day, you're forced to put somebody else in the lineup. It's just not going to work. It's just not. And obviously, we have some reports here. Jake, you're very high on this reporter, and Buster Olney. And some reporters, we try to put stock into what they say, and others, we absolutely try not to. Right? And Buster Olney reported on Dylan Cease. This is a player that I was really high on. This is something that I wouldn't call a project. Dylan Cease is a finished product that obviously has lost his way, but all the stuff's still there. He's not dealing with injury. It's none of that. Right? So apparently the Padres, according to the report, are looking to flip Cease in exchange for big league talent in return to plug other holes on their big league roster. Those holes for the Padres, and we talked about them last night, Jake, catcher, outfield. They're looking for a left fielder and a catcher. Well, Ben Rice is a catcher. Now, would you trade Ben Rice for a rental? I wouldn't. So it just seems like when you start to look at the Yankees' needs, you also have to remember when we're looking at these other teams with players that we clearly can utilize, if they're not comfortable taking on what we're willing to give up, we may be looking at a team, and I would agree with a lot of people, by the way, Jake, in our comments that if we don't make a big splash, this team is much further away from winning than people may be willing to admit.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think as far as the Cease thing goes, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, I think JC Escara, Everson Pereira, and then another prospect, I think would get that done. They're not going to get a ton for Cease because he's not pitching that well and he is a rental. And there are other rentals that are pitching better than Cease currently. So, and he's been on the downtrend as well. That's another thing.
Yeah, it's more so about talent. Dylan Cease is probably the most talented of the players. So you're talking about spin rate. You're also talking about 100 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
Jack Curry says that the Yankees are looking for swing and miss stuff, not just good stuff. And obviously Dylan Cease fills that gap very well. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think JC plus Pereira, I do see it multiple times in our comments. I would believe that would suffice to get that deal done. Maybe you add another sweetener in there, maybe. But we also have to find out what San Diego values. They may look at a player on our roster and say, he stinks. But then we're high on this player. So we'll have to find out.
Yeah, there were some interesting names that came across today. Caballero, who's on the team that you're literally playing right now, so that'd be kind of funny watching him go to the other. I want to see that. We got to see a Rays Yankees trade. Okay, we just have to in this series because
Michael Kay said not to trade with him. Did you hear him? He was like, if you're making a trade with the Rays, you should be a little skeptical because Tampa typically knows what they're doing on the market.
That's true.
So that'll be interesting. And by the way, a fit I thought it popped off the screen. You saw him today. I still think Fairbanks is such a great fit for the Yankees. Yeah. I know there was that report, and Jake, I believe you brought it to this podcast.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that he has a little bit, I think it was a nerve issue, where in the cold, he has some type of, what was that injury again? It was just something along the lines of pitching in the cold is just not working for him.
Yeah, and I'll look it up now, but it was something like, it was a condition that he has. Someone's mentioned it before in the comment section, but What is Pete Fairbanks?
We may not have to worry about it. That Tampa might be hosting the wild card series against us.
Raynaud's syndrome. It causes nerve-related numbness in the hand when throwing in cold weather.
And we know for a fact if the Yankees are in the playoffs, some people say we should sell. It doesn't matter. At best, this is a wild card team. We're going home. Well, I'll tell you right now, if you're going to acquire a player and he can't pitch in the cold, it's going to be a problem. So interesting that the Yankees didn't. What's up?
That was my second thing. And real quick, we'll hit this in a sec.
Yeah, go ahead and take
Drew
it.
Thorpe with Kim, shortstop, Rays. You have talked about Kim. The point being, the first thing that I had was that they're going to get situational in their deployment, like today with Rosario. The second thing is I honestly think this is an indictment on Anthony Volpe. I do. I think this team is slowly but surely kind of phasing him out, and in a way not where they're going to bench him, but look at the players that were announced today. Caballero, Taylor Walsh, right? Willie Castro, and Kim. Ha-Seong Kim.
So what are they going to do with these players then? If you bring this player on, if you're saying they may not bench Volpe, despite maybe picking up a player like this, then what are you bringing them on for if you don't have the balls to go out there and play them at that position?
Well, I think at that point it would create some interesting thing there where you have Ha-Seong Kim, let's just say he gets acquired, right? Mm-hmm. That could turn into kind of like who's hot. Let's right now he's on the IL, but it could be like a Bader pickup where, hey, Bader wasn't playing for a while. He was on the IL. He comes back. All of a sudden, they're giving him an opportunity. There is a reason why they're looking at shortstop. There is a reason. I understand Bader is a guy that they're looking at as well, but everyone except for Bader was a guy that could play shortstop. Caballero, Walls. We saw Walls today in the field. My concern here, and obviously Walls looks like a great fielder, Walls has a terrible bat. I don't want anything to do with Walls' offensive performance. And it's nice that he's a great fielder, but Gary, how much would Walls play over Volpe? Like once a week? So it wouldn't be worth it. If I'm going out and getting a shortstop, I need to know that he can play shortstop And he also has a good enough bat to challenge Volpe. And I think that's what the Yankees are getting at.
Do you think Kim is a better player? And obviously, we're talking about not as an overall the past 3 years, a culmination of that. What we're discussing is the version of Anthony Volpe that you guys saw for the past several months. This is not some hot take. This has been going on for months. Months this has happened.
Yeah.
The version of Anthony Volpe that you saw for all that time, if Kim was on this roster that whole time, would you guys be calling for him to play? That's the question. And if the answer is yes, then making this trade is not a problem. My only thing is this. If you're going to bring in a player and you're going to spend any time at all not prioritizing the bullpen and you're going to look at a shortstop, and I'm glad you brought this up, if you're going to do that, then you need to have the guts to utilize the players that you bring inbound. Don't bring a player in here to tell us, oh, we need to make sure that the best players, the players that are actually performing, get out there on the field, and then Anthony Volpe with a Kim on the roster is suddenly just playing every single day despite how he's playing. Now, mind you, I want to defend Volpe a little bit here. He did, I don't want to call it boot a ball, but he didn't field a ball to his backhand, and Yankee Stadium was booing him today. I didn't expect that. He wasn't really a topic of conversation for me coming into today's game, but he didn't have a strong enough arm to make that throw regardless if he made it. But I don't know. I don't mind this pickup because he's a serviceable enough bat and he's a great glove. Isn't that exactly what we wanted from Volpe all the way from the start?
Well, you know what's so funny to me is that if you look at his numbers, because this is from 2024 because he only had 35 plate appearances before he got hurt. So keep in mind, he's also been hurt for a while. So that could also be to his benefit when he comes back. He's going to be fresh. He doesn't
I was at the game. He got hurt.
Damn. That was a while ago, Gary.
It was.
But hear me out, though. When I look at, somebody like Ha-Seong Kim, you look at 2023, and obviously that's what you would hope he could be if he came to the Yankees. Now, the thing that would actually put a lot of pressure, in my opinion, on Anthony Volpe is if he didn't even get to 2023, and let's just say he was 2024. He's just like Volpe, 233, 700 OPS. That's about round where, like, when Volpe gets going, that's about where he is, right? Like maybe 243, whatever.
He's floating around league average.
Yeah, point being, he's not going to wow you with the stats, but look at the savant. These things are the most important when you're hitting at the bottom of the order. If I get a guy who's not chasing, a guy who's not whiffing, a guy who's not striking out, and a guy that's walking at that rate, well, I have a pretty damn good player. And I don't really care that he doesn't have crazy numbers in the OPS range. I don't care that he doesn't have an amazing slugging percentage, because at the end of the day, Ha-Seong Kim is somebody that I'm going to trust later on in the game when, you're batting in the bottom three of the order. Well, I trust this guy to get on base, and he's proven that. He's fast. He has good range. There's a lot to like about this player. The question is, because it can benefit you being gone for a while, coming back, and then you're fresh. You're ready to go. He's a good postseason ad. At the same time, it could also hurt you. This could just not be his year. He's been hurt the whole year. It's July now. We don't know when he'll be back, but by the time he's back, he might need a little bit to get going. It's not like pitching, but he might need a little bit to get going. If he can't get going, then it might not work. So,
well, at the very least, isn't he for sure a glove? I really couldn't give a rip about his bat. We know, technically speaking, and the bat in San Diego was really good at one point. He was a fan favorite. And so now all of a sudden you're looking at this guy and saying, all right, if he shows up, and let's just say the injury takes a while, takes him 20 games to get back to the field, and the Yankees squeak into a wild card, whose glove is better at shortstop? Kim or Anthony Volpe? That's the question, because Anthony Volpe is going to be hitting at the bottom of the lineup. Kim, if he's playing at all, starting at all, he's not hitting fifth. He's hitting eighth. And so he's out there to field his position, and that's it. So that we can make the main thing, which is pitching. And I'll tell you what, when a Jonathan Loaizaga or a Mark Leiter Jr. or whoever else induces a ground ball to my shortstop in a playoff series, I need to know that ball is snapping off to the glove of the first baseman and not having a problem. Right now, it is a problem. And again, we're not going to harp on Volpe, but We're simply looking at the players that the Yankees are looking at and saying, what is the conclusion here that our general management is making about this guy? That bat is ice cold.
I'd be out on Caballero. I mean, he hits well against the Yankees. That's not really going to help you.
No, no.
And then what's the Taylor Walls? I don't like his bat either. A great defender, but I don't like his bat. So, yeah.
And the Yankees, Jake, would tell you this. Why are you focusing on the bat? Now, mind you, I'm not actually arguing with you here, but the Yankees would tell you our defense is a problem. We're still scoring, and obviously your dad brings up the point, yeah, the Yankees are scoring, but they're scoring unimportant runs. If there's a man on second, less than 2 outs, if it's a tie game after the 6th inning, are they still that same offense that projects, right, is up on top of the charts? Is it that same offense? It doesn't feel like it. So some of these players would help the Yankees become more fundamental. Yeah,
and then that's
not
Willie
high
Castro.
on it, but you get it.
I think, to me, Gary, and it's good to know where we stand. I think you and I both agree. It's Kim or nothing to me. I'm not trying to just go out and get a shortstop to put any sort of pressure on Volpe. I think Kim makes a lot of sense.
He does.
Because he just does things a lot better than some of the other guys that are on there. And I think what's so important, again, is the low K rate and the high walk rate. That, to me, is big because when you're at the bottom of the order, we saw the walks today. How about Ryan McMahon, right, coming through? How about Jazz Chisholm? The walks matter, man. They do. And so, I would rather have a base hit, but that's the thing. And this is another great tidbit. We love our audience. Drew Thorpe, thank you again, adding on to this. Ha-Seong Kim, 10-day injured list due to lower back tightness, retroactive to July 22nd. So he will be ready to go in August.
That's actually a good thing, by the way. If you think about this, if a player's on the market, he's currently dealing with an injury. Obviously, you saw Eugenio Suarez. He got hit by a pitch today. They had the x-rays. They were negative, so good news there for baseball. But if you're going to look at this player who's hurt, remember why he's being brought here. He's being brought here just in case the Yankees find themselves in a situation where we need a glove. Well, if you've got a guy on the 10-day IL who's got lower back tightness, Drew, thank you for joining that on the screen, retroactive to July 22nd, well, I'll tell you what. You've just become less valuable, and it's going to cost me far less to acquire you. Now, I'm not out here trying to find the Yankees bargain bin ways to improve, but my thing is this. I want the Yankees to spend heavy, just not on position players. All of the position players, unless you're going to get some stud, which we know that they're not offensively, then all of the guys are around the margins. Go get this player. In 6 to 7 days, he's going to be ready to go out there and field his position at the most important position in the field, and that's shortstop. So I love this pickup. I think my mom evangelized me into actually wanting this player in the first place, so I'll give her credit. I want to throw Jeff J, though, on the screen.
Yes, thank you.
And Jeff is obviously bringing up Aaron Judge and that injury. And Jeff, thank you for the 10. Thank you for supporting us. Says, flexor strains are very bad. This is absolutely true. We heard that from Jabba. We've heard that from actually multiple people at this point. 4 weeks rest, PRP, will likely need Tommy John anyway, so we won't exactly agree that it will for sure be Tommy John. I think the most likely way that this ends is that Aaron Judge probably ends up just being a full-time DH. That's the way it's looking. Trade Goldie. Jake, you said this just before the show started. Just before this. And you're not saying to do it, but you were saying, I feel like if I read the tea leaves correctly, it's possible. Trent Grisham, rental.
He's not trending in the right direction. He's just, he's not. So,
and people are obviously upset somewhat. Obviously, the batting average is still highly serviceable, but the power game is just not there, right? Especially the way you're used to it. And prospects for pitching. Cody Bellinger at first, Stanton, Pereira, right field, Dominguez in center, Jones in left field, 2016 retool. I do not, by the way, I did kind of open up this door about Jason Dominguez moving to center field. I do not want to see that. I'm sorry. I don't like watching him in left field. I like the bat. I like the player. You saw him today. He looked really good. Jake, I don't know if I want to see him manning center field. I don't know if there's any position I want to see him man.
Well, that's fair. That's definitely fair. I mean, I do want to defend Goldie a little bit, but I also want to add some context. So in July, he's hitting 306, 338 on base. That's a lot lower than it normally is for him. 435 slugging, 774 OPS. He's not doing as much damage as he did at the beginning. See, that's the thing, is that when you look, the on-base percentage in March, obviously only 3 games, 500. In April, 391. In May, 382, and then it goes down to 226 in June. In July, it's 338. So he's much better than he was in June. But this also is important with the batting average and everything. Can be a little misleading. Like, he's getting on, like, you know, that's true. Like, he's hitting, but we're not seeing the walks aren't really there like they were earlier in the year. He has 3 walks this month. He had 9 last month. He had 9 the month before that. He had 11 the month before that, right? So he's not getting on base as much, and that is a little bit concerning. And also, if Ben Rice is just better at this point, and to be honest with you, there's a really good, I just saw there was a really good comment. Sakuna, thank you here. I just want to hit this.
We even got the tags going.
May 31, May 31st. I don't know why I said May 31. 531 are 208, 267, 315 with 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's only hitting 255, 708 OPS against lefties with 1 home run. That was the calling card. He dominates lefties. He was leading the league against lefties in OPS, and now that's not happening. So, and also, you know, we do talk about his defense a lot. It's actually kind of interesting, Gary. I don't know if you've looked at his Savant page recently. I'm not saying
I haven't.
Like,
I feel like the defense is still good. Maybe Savant will say it's closer to league average. I'm gonna guess it'll say like 55th, 56th percentile, but I think it's good.
So is that 26th percentile? He has a -2. Okay. And then he's got a 15 range and a second percentile arm, which we don't care. The arm strength at first base does not really matter.
Does our audience, do you guys feel like that's where he would be? Because I'll be honest with you, I've been pretty happy with Paul Goldschmidt. I'm talking about as far as the glove. I thought it was pretty good. I'll be honest with you. That surprises me.
Yeah, and then Ben Rice, you have here, he actually has an above fielding run value.
It average. Also, by the way, Jake, it needs to be said, it doesn't benefit you in any way just having 2 good first basemen. And I think Paul Goldschmidt's still a very good player. I think he's definitely worthy of playing.
I do too.
Same with Ben Rice. Here's the problem. If you don't have relievers, and maybe you have to make one of your first basemen expendable, and the guy you're going to make expendable is more than likely the 37-year-old veteran on a 1-year rental deal, well, that contract's probably pretty attractive to a team that needs a first baseman. Now, how many teams need that? I don't know. And those teams that need it also need to have a reliever for you. So that's the question, is that the Yankees don't get brownie points going in October saying, we've got a good backup first baseman, and we also got Ben Rice over there, who is also a good option for us. It's like, well, great, you only get to play one of them. So you need to figure out who you're going to play, who's not, and then go about your trade deadline in that direction.
I think it's really gotten to the point where Ben Rice has closed the gap considerably. And I would probably at this point, I know the average doesn't look that way. The OPS is almost dead even. And I think at this point, Ben Rice should play every single day when they're seeing a right-handed pitcher. I don't think we should ever see Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt, to me right now, and this is the beauty of the Yankees roster, is that they do have a lot of depth, which isn't really talked about as much. They still do. I think this needs to be a platoon, straight up. Goldschmidt has not looked good against righties. He should not have been out there today. It should have been Rice. Definitely should have been Rice, later on in the game. But that's just my take, Gary. I mean, not everybody has to agree, but
yeah, no, I mean, we don't. We don't all have to agree. I'm actually going to go that direction. I'm going to even go further with it. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, the Yankees have too many needs to have 2 good first basemen. I simply make the decision that Ben Rice is going to play. Why am I doing that? It's not because I want Paul Goldschmidt off this roster. No, I want him on the roster. The problem is we don't have a bullpen. And from what we're hearing of all these rumors, and there's about 1 million of them, we're not hearing the Yankees shopping their top prospect for relievers, right? We're not seeing that. We're seeing maybe they give it for a star closer with control like a Duran. But for the most part, a lot of these deals are going to be around the cracks, right? To replace an Ian Hamilton, to replace some of these guys that, Wally Pip. I haven't heard that.
You had to put him up there.
Alex is an OG if he knows Wally Pip. Alex, welcome back. You guys are the best. I can't wait for that merchandise where we drop Wally Pip. His family's probably going to come after us. But Guy with the 5, thank you for the super. We can get Ben Rice off the screen. I'm sorry, Ben. Yeah. We believe in you, kid. We want you to play, but another day.
The Yankees don't, I guess.
So Guy with the 5, thank you for that. Thank you for investing in us. Says, why the hell didn't Brubaker, obviously Jake is very high on this player, come in instead of Hamilton? The game may have still been tied later in the game. Jake, you bring this up all the time. Bader, I believe someone has to be moved. So what do you think about this? Hell of a profile picture there, by the way.
Brubaker has some of the ugliest savant stats you'll ever see. I'll just show them to you real quick because I'm here. It's awful. But he gets outs, and he's efficient, economical with his pitches. I mean, he's pitched in 11 games.
Does this say he's my age?
Yeah, he's 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea Brubaker was. I shouldn't say that old. I want to kick myself down.
He was dealing with something with his. He got like really hurt when the Yankees got him, or I think it was before the Yankees got him. And this is just a reclamation project. I mean, he hadn't pitched since 2022. Remember? So that's the thing. And so I actually.
Oh, that's right. We called him the what's it called? A pitcher. Remember that?
Yeah.
Who the catcher? Who was the catcher that Michael Kay said didn't exist?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh no.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, Ben Rortvet. The man never showed up. He was in a pullover his whole career in pinstripes, and we feel bad for him. Obviously, he was probably working very hard in the trainer's room. He just never got out there. So yeah, it is kind of crazy though when injuries become a factor. How long it can take you to get back to the field. People just assume, oh, Tommy John, we'll see you in a year, right? Cabrera, major injury at home plate. They just project it to see you in a year. There's so much that comes back to it. Wait, are those real numbers or are they just not loading in?
No, this is Ben Rortvet.
Oh, those are his loaded in numbers.
Yeah, he's only had 70 plate appearances. He must have gotten hurt again.
Well, I see why.
Yeah, but I mean, last year he had 620 OPS. I mean, he at least did something.
He has a good chase rate. We'll give him that. But yeah, I don't want to spend any time on Ben Rortvet. So see you, Ben. But Brian, thank you for the 5. Says this team is so freaking embarrassing. Can't even win 2 games in a row. Yeah, I'm on the active editing streak here. Says if Volpe is the starting shortstop next year, I'm gonna lose my crap. So I think I tweeted something along that. I think I said what? I'd start smoking cigarettes if he's the shortstop. I'll tell you guys what. Here's what I'm just going to get on record now. I'm rooting for Anthony Volpe to earn his spot back and become a good player. But I can be honest and just say he's not a very good player. I understand people say, well, he's hit X amount of home runs, and of late, his past 7 games, he's hit over 250, almost 300. Great. We covered all that. My deal is that you have to prove who you are before I can want you in pinstripes. I'm not hiring my friends here. I'm not hiring my buddies to come play Pony League baseball. This isn't Babe Ruth where your dad's the coach and you're in right field and your buddy's at third. No, this is the New York Yankees. This is not friendship circle. We want Anthony Volpe or some other player who can get the job done to just simply be out there, whether it's Kim, whether it's another player via the trade market. And by the way, Brian, it really shouldn't be that embarrassing right now, I will say, because isn't this exactly what should be happening given the roster construction? When you look out at Jake, you mentioned the bullpen and how bad it is. You said it was the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball. Those are your words.
Yeah.
How can you win 2 games in a row when you have one of the worst bullpens in the game?
Well, and that's the thing. It puts so much pressure on your hitters and it puts so much pressure on your starters. I mean, this bullpen has been horrendous. And today, I mean, they gave him a shot, I still just don't really understand the whole, we're going to use Weaver and then use Hill. I feel like they bring in Weaver too early and then they don't really stick with him. I don't know. It's weird to me how they used the bullpen today. Honestly, Hedrick should have just kept pitching. Like, they couldn't hit him. He was missing bats. He only threw 17 pitches, and they're like, I'm sorry. I know Boone, like, again, we defended Boone in a sense because we're saying the roster construction is bad. But,
yeah, we extended an olive branch.
But at the same time, Boone, you can't manage the bullpen like, you have a regular bullpen. Like, Hedrick should have kept going. I understand that sounds tough, but that's where you're at. Hedrick can't just pitch 17 pitches. He got 5 outs in 17 pitches, and you're like, no, you got to keep going with him. You have to. And that's the thing. You put in Hamilton, he walks a batter, then he gives up a hit, then you put in Weaver. It's like, that's the problem. It's like in a 4-2 game where Hedrick gives you almost 2 innings after your starter only goes 4 1/3. Like, you didn't have to use 4 guys after Hedrick. Like, that just, and this is the problem. It
seemed like poor management. And what's funny is that you mentioned it. You went out of your way to at least give Boone the benefit of the doubt that there's not really many options. You're putting his back up against the wall where it can't work, no matter who's the manager. However, if you're going to poorly manage a poor bullpen, I mean, it's just as good as any friend that you guys have ever had who doesn't make a lot of money, who's also spending $9 on lattes every day.
Yeah.
Going out to eat every single day. If you have poor money management skills and you also don't make any money at all, well, it can't work. It cannot work. So that's what it seems like with Boone. Boone is a problem. Their bullpen roster construction is a problem. This is actually part of what Jabba Chamberlain mentioned on our show, is that it's not just a one-man band to take this thing down. How many people are honestly pulling the correct direction? How many people are doing the right thing where others are doing something wrong? The list is long, I feel, with this organization. So very difficult to figure out who's pulling in which direction. But my mom says, and with the 2, thank you, Mom, also a mod here, says, little update on the Padres game. Dylan Cease just struck out Juan Soto for the 2nd time. I know she messaged in that he struck him out the 1st time. I think she may have texted me that. So, I guess that's the only good thing that happened for the Yankees today. Former Yankee Juan Soto. He struck out.
Well, thank you, Lauren. The only good thing today was a former Yankee strikeout. That's funny. Emmanuel Ortiz, thank you for the 10. Do you think Cashman isn't being active because they know Judge is probably out longer than 10 days and are waiting to see the final outcome of where they stand after the Rays series? Well, unfortunately, the Rays series...
This is interesting, Jake.
It's a good point, but the Rays series, the trade deadline ends before they play the last game in the series. So I hope that's not what we're going to wait until the end of this.
We'll see what we do against this 500. Literally, when the game started today, Tampa was a 500 baseball team, and the Yankees are going to come into the series and be like, let's see what we do with this group. Are you guys kidding me? Make the trades. And if you don't want to make the trades, it doesn't hurt you by just saying we're selling. If you're not going to make the trades, like big trades, then just sell. That's all you have to do. If you're going to lose to a 500 baseball, does anyone disagree with this? If you're just going to tell people, we'll wait around because we don't think Aaron Judge is going to be able to land on his feet here and be out in right field, it's a bigger problem than what we're leading on. If that's actually what you think, why would you wait till the 31st to be like, no, we kicked the tires on Bednar. We kicked the tires on Dustin May. Matter of fact, we're going to land Dustin May. Just sell if that's the way you're going to go about your business. So, Emmanuel, this is a great super chat. So thank you for bringing this to the table. We just think it's silly if the Yankees were genuinely going about their business this way. This is just playing with your food when you don't have any time to do so.
I think it's kind of silly also if you're truly like you're going to town, as he said. If you're going to town, one, why do you not have a reliever yet? Two, why would you, and obviously the Yankees haven't made mention of this, but I was thinking about this. Why would you now trade Trent Grisham? I think Trent Grisham's off limits after the Judge injury. Like, you need Trent Grisham. You need an outfielder. You know what I mean? You need a guy like that.
This is part of the reason why you wanted to flex Aaron Judge either to a full-time DH. And mind you, there were a lot of people in our comment section. We're not going to hijack this point. There were a lot of people in our comments who said Aaron Judge is an elite right fielder, but we need to protect him physically. He should be our DH, and that's where they sort of projected the negativity towards Giancarlo Stanton. That's rough. It's rough, and it puts us in a bad situation.
And then the thing that really irked me, and obviously I want to talk a little bit more about the bullpen, but the thing that irked me with the whole Judge thing, once again, report comes out, Aaron Judge will not play first base. Why the hell not? Like,
do you think they believe he can't, or do you think they're taking it as
don't ask me that question, because you don't want to know the answer.
Because remember, we tried our absolute best. You can't spend 20 minutes explaining a point. We just try and outline exactly what we're saying. He's one of the best defensive right fielders in the sport. Not just arm strength, arm accuracy, reads off the wall, jumps. He's learned not to just dive into the wall. That's great for us and his health. But also, we don't want to move him from right field because we want to get rid of that stuff. No. It's not that.
It's always been about prolonging.
He's going to be a first ballot, hopefully unanimous Hall of Famer. And we saw Ichiro just get in not unanimously. It's ridiculous. But Aaron Judge should be a unanimous Hall of Famer. When it's all said and done, it's because of the bat. And so it frees up so much flexibility by either moving him to first base, giving that an attempt the way Bryce Harper did. Is Bryce Harper that much better of an athlete than Aaron Judge?
That's what I was going to say.
I don't understand
Cashman, it reeks of Brian Cashman didn't think, Bryce Harper could play first. So, I mean, if he didn't feel that way about Bryce Harper, then I don't think... Right. And he's set in his ways. You're not going to change his mind. Like, he's looking at Giancarlo Stanton as a piece of meat. He's like, oh, yeah, well, it'll expire at some point. Like,
we'll toss him in right. We're like, oh. Yeah. Oh,
exactly. Yeah, he's like, they said that, and they're like, and he was like, all right, so we're going to get Harrison Bader. He will never play right field. And then, he's just going to get hurt, so it'll work itself out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, is it possible? Mind you, we saw last year, Brian Cashman said he's going to get hurt. They said he's going to play right field. We saw some video footage of him working on that in right field. And so obviously that's the easier defensive assignment. But the bigger part of this is that if Giancarlo Stanton fails physically, well, now you have Bader, who you called him earlier a depth piece. Bader's almost your health insurance, if you will. Well, you just throw him out in center field, and maybe that is when our chat was asking when Jason Dominguez flexes out to right field, the easiest position in our outfield. Maybe then is when you'd see that. And
keep in mind, like, I don't want to, sell Bader short. I mean, this is what you're getting. He's an incredible glove. Incredible.
Very good.
He's just not, he's having a good year. 12 homers, 10, stolen bases, 255, 338 on base, 779 OPS. But he's not somebody that you're banging down the fence to put in the lineup every day. He's not somebody that people will be in the comment section under every single post for the lineup saying, where's Harrison Bader? He's not that player. So that is a player that you theoretically could put on the bench and people are going to be like, okay, that's okay. But like when you go out and you get Ryan McMahon, for instance, the thought of you were going to bench him like every other day, like when you go up against like, a lefty or whatever, people were not taking too kindly to that. And I don't blame them. I really don't. As much as I like Rosario, I don't think it makes any sense to take McMahon out of the lineup. He should play every single day. Rosario should be a guy that, he's another bench option. He can come in, he can pinch hit. He's not a great fielder, so it helps you more when he's pinch hitting at the end of the game. Whereas if he's starting a game, then you have to deal with his fielding for 9 innings. So I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. But Christopher, appreciate the 227. Big Stanton fan here. Wild card series at George M. Steinbrenner Field is insane. Well, they're right now, if the season ended, I'll tell you exactly where the Yankees would be, okay? The Yankees would be in the playoffs, but, and this is important, because they're ahead right now of Tampa. Tampa would win the season series. They would have the tiebreaker over the Yankees if they had the same record. They have the tiebreaker.
I feel like we were horrible against our division this year.
Yeah,
it felt that way at least. It just felt like we beat no one. It really did. We played the Dodgers, got the brakes beat off of us. Then we go see Boston. I feel like I remember like 4 wins since that Boston series.
This is the worst they've ever looked against the AL East. I've never seen a Yankee team look this bad against the AL East. This is utterly atrocious. And that's where I do defend people who are like, come on, Boone, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. But if you can't beat the same teams that you have familiarity with and you get to know well, that's not a good sign. You know, so at some point or another, like, yeah, like you got to start, you know, showing some results. And then Tom from Huntington, we appreciate the 5 here. Great show as always. What is going on with Wells lately? Needs to stop eating chicken parm with Volpe. I don't know anything about that whole chicken parm thing. I never have. I never looked into it, but I guess
I never liked the chicken parm stories. I never liked the the turtle stories, all the mascots. I never liked it. Unless you're a really good player. Like, remember when Rizzo was giving us some nice output in the pinstripes, then he was telling us about where he likes to eat. I'll listen to it. I'll tolerate it.
Has not been the same player since I personally watched that video of him dancing outside of his car.
Outside of where?
He was doing like this TikTok dance outside of his car while it was moving. It was like one of those like trends. Since I had that sent to me, he is just like, I'm not kidding you. It's been a nosedive for his career. It doesn't mean he won't occasionally hit a home run or come up big.
No, he will. That's what he does.
You know, but he's not hitting 320 like he was, you know, in August last year. Or he's not hitting in the 290s like he was last July. So, yeah, I don't know. I should have probably never watched that video. Heedy, thank you for the 5. If the Yankee upper management thinks that this roster can go all the way, that scares me more than the thought of watching them miss the playoffs. I understand it though. I get it. You're getting Heel back. He won Rookie of the Year, right? Judge will be back. You have a really good, on paper at least, a really good set of fielders, hitters, all that, right? You have guys like Bellinger. Stanton is hitting out of his mind. We saw Rosario today, you know, come through in a big spot. Jazz has really stepped up this year. So yeah, they have guys. Grisham's hitting way better than probably anybody could have expected. And then Jason Dominguez. And then you have the potential, okay, you call up a Spencer Jones. What does that bring you? The rotation. Yeah, they've struggled as of late, but look at what they're capable of. When you go back to earlier in the year, I understand it's earlier in the year, but that is essentially why I can't count this team out. They won 8 straight series. Somewhere in their DNA, they are still capable of doing that. I am not out on the Yankees, but I will say, Gary, a lot of these things could have been prevented if they just focused on bullpen more than they did. And that's why, to me, I think every single day, I understand you actually had a really good point on this. Now, it looks like he's going to be okay, but I had sent you, Eugenio Suarez hit by pitch. And your exact words after that, you texted me, and you said, that's the risk of thinking you have something of value all the way till the last second. This is no different if you're a buyer or a seller. You could feel like, oh, we're just going to, we're going to wait. Well, guess what? When you're waiting, you're trying to get the best deal possible, as you put it. Brian Cashman's always trying to win the deal, right? He's not just making it and asking questions later. He's trying to win the deal. There's parts to me that like that, but if you do it all the time, I don't like that. So, I think the big thing there, Gary, is when you hear that and what you're saying is, yeah, Arizona has an incredibly valuable player right now in Suarez. He is a rental that they could extend because he wants to stay, or they could trade him and he has 30-plus home runs at the break, right? Or a little bit after the break. That's a great piece. A team could absolutely use that. He gets hurt, now that's off the table. It's no different if you're a buyer on the market and you're like, yeah, and you're talking with these teams. And you're like, yeah, we'll see how things play out. Well, while you're saying that, while you get off the phone, as soon as you get off the phone, it is the Wild West, okay? You have the Dodgers. You have the Phillies. I mean, Jim Bowden was telling us this. The bullpen, at the end of the day, and the prompt again was, is Brian Cashman neglecting the bullpen this trade deadline? I'm going to say he is right now. I understand the results can change. I still believe that they're going to get Duran. I feel it in my bones. They are going to get Duran at the end of this process. But I will tell you, Gary, right now, currently, as we stand, this is July 28th. It'll be 29th in about 44 minutes. And the reality is, yes, they're neglecting because they're losing games. Not today, but most of the games, they're losing because they don't have a bullpen. So the longer you wait, you're costing yourself more and more spots, behind a Toronto, and you're falling further back. And so, yeah, I absolutely believe that he is neglecting the bullpen. It has to stop. And unfortunately, if you're just going to sit there and wait until the last second, well, what's stopping a team from being like, you know what? You think a lot about it. You had those internal discussions, and the Dodgers come to grips with, we really need Bednar, so we're just going to just give them whatever they want. Or the Phillies, where they're like, we can win the World Series this year, but we need bullpen help. We're just going to go get Duran. We're going to give them whatever they want.
2 hours ago saying, and mind you,
yeah,
we were mentioning Bednar, right? This is out of Pittsburgh. Now Detroit, Philadelphia, Texas, and the Chicago Cubs all in on this player. So you now know, oh, this is fluid. Oh, yeah, we're now learning this. Brian Cashman knows this is fluid. Our bullpen is not in the type of shape where you have any opportunity to have the market fall into your lap. We're not in that type of position, I'm afraid. If we were talking about a bullpen that was good, not great, clearly needs improvement, then I would somewhat agree. Would I be maybe upset? Maybe. But you're going to sit up here and look at this bullpen where Brubaker has to give you major output for you to survive, and you're going to tell me that you have the authority to wait on any of these players? You just don't. So to sort of wrap this in a bow, I want to make sure we catch up on these supers because for some reason I agreed to go on the radio again tonight. I never like doing so, but I'm not going to be able to be here for maybe another 20 minutes, but we really appreciate you guys being here. I won't, but make sure you guys subscribe to Yankees Unloaded real quick here. We are giving away a Yankees jersey of your choice from MLB.com. It is going to be a legit jersey, so can't wait to give it away at 10,000 subscribers. We're flying. I mean, we've grown about 1,500 subscribers the past 30 days. You guys have been awesome. And Drew Thorpe, not to be confused as Jake always puts it, with the real Drew Thorpe, thank you for the 10. Says great interviews with MLB insiders, by the way, and Jabba guys. And also Bob Nightingale will be joining our show later this week, just ahead of the end of the deadline. So it'll be interesting to sort of see how that goes. Thank you, Drew. We really appreciate that. And William, is that Willie Downer? Welcome Downer in with some positivity. William, you're improving. William says with the 10, thank you for investing in this channel. Always investing your time. You don't always have to invest your money, so you guys are choosing to do this. Thank you. Says Gary, Jake, love the channel. Can't stand this team. God, it lasted so long. Hopefully they won't trade Lombard Jr. Obviously high on him. LaGrange, Schlittler, Spencer Jones. So there you have it. There's his little core four there, if you will. Would like to see a cease for a Scar and Pereira. I would agree with that. We're going to have to find out what San Diego really wants on the market. Would add Hess or Cunningham. So obviously Hess, Ben Hess being a player that is somewhat at the top of our system. So it seems like Willie Downer here is not opposed to giving up real value, but there's certain players at the top of this system that he thinks are going to be a part of it. And I'd imagine Willie also wants to spend this offseason. So I don't hate that.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. I understand, people are going to react a certain way about Schlittler's performance tonight, and that's fine. I'm not out on him. I'm not. I thought he did a nice job rallying back from the awful start that he had. And really, he got off to a great start. He gets those 2 outs and then just unfortunately gets some hiccups. Those were rookie mistakes. I think this is somebody that's learning. But you see the fastball, you see the type of guys that he's going up against, and you see that he still can miss bats. Give up on him at your own peril. I personally would not give up on Cam Schlittler. unless I'm getting somebody big in return. If you get a guy like Mackenzie Gore, well, now I can understand it a little bit more. But if you're trading him for, whatever, a position player or something that's not going to really move the needle, I just don't get the point.
Yeah, and Vog with the 555 super chat. Thank you for that. Says there's actually not much runway left. I was actually just asking you this question, Jake. 3 days ago, how many more games can go by? You mentioned that the deadline is still 3 days. It's a long time in deadline minutes. But how many more minutes can this team afford to not have a complete bullpen, to not have a complete rotation, right? And so you look at this and you say, how much more can we sustain? The Blue Jays have to play 500 baseball. And from there, Vog mentions the Yankees need to go 34-22 at a 607 clip to catch up. So we need to be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. So you need to see this version of the Yankees, and it needs to turn into a 60% win percentage in order for us to catch a good, not great Toronto team who's also, Jake, as you mentioned it, they're very well coached. They don't make mental mistakes. So we're going to have to play out of our minds. That is not good. It's looking a lot like, by the way, guys, this is a commitment. If you really want to become a good team, you're going to have to go get monstrous pickups in your bullpen and just accept you're coming out of the wild card. I think that's probably where the Yankees are looking at it. We want to improve in all ways, and we're just going to show up to a wild card. And if we make it to a championship series, the way I look at it is that's sort of the way the Mets felt last year. Remember how the Mets all of a sudden snuck in deep into a postseason run? We're like, how'd this team get here, right? Yeah. They're expected to go get Soto the next year. They're at the least going to try. And then they made it to that point in the postseason. I think the Yankees can sort of do what the Mets did last year, where we sneak into a wild card. We can win if we have monstrous pickups. Again, we can maybe sneak our way in. But do I think we're contenders to win a World Series? Jake, I'm not out on them. I was never in. So, I mean, as you know, I've been very consistent about this team. I called them an 88-win team with massive improvement. An 88-win team is what, 92, 93 wins? Well, now Judge just got hurt. I have him back in the 88-win range.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. And I also think it's important to remember, and of course you know this, but they have the easiest schedule remaining. So, if they do enough at the deadline, I think they'll be able to overcome that. I wanted to highlight this real quick before we get back to the Super Chats. Drew Thorpe brings up a really interesting name here in Jojo Romero. He's got some good stuff, So you can't extend to save his life, but 1 percentile. But no, all jokes aside, this just feels like a Yankee pickup. You just mentioned the context clues, right? Jack Curry, lefty, right? Lefty that misses bats. He gets a strikeout every inning, just about, But look at that ERA, 2.12.
We're gonna get this guy.
This feels like a Yankee. Like, if I'm being honest with you, the ground ball percentage, which we've talked about, if you're going to have Stanton have to play at the outfield, ground ball percentage becomes a necessity. So I actually do like this. And then he also has Ryan Helsley here. We already know who Ryan Helsley is. Very good pitcher. He is going to miss more bats, right? He's also, he's going to strike out more. He's also going to walk more. So not as much ground ball percentage. I like them both in tandem. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But I actually, at the very least, Jojo Romero, that just feels like a Yankee.
Yeah, I've golfed with Jojo Romero many times, so I hope he joins the Yankees. Why not, right?
What?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and this is obviously before this is when he got drafted, so he played college baseball in Arizona. So, yeah, that's how that ended up working out. So, I hope so. I mean, it's not just a project. It's also run prevention. Don't get me a project. Get me a player who knows how to pitch. JoJo knows how to pitch. I'm not just rooting for him simply because we know him. I told you guys, I'm going to be fair. I don't care if I know
This is the first time you've ever talked about him, so to be fair to you.
Right. So,
yeah.
I did the same thing with Cody Bellinger. If Cody Bellinger was a horrible baseball player, I'd cover him as such. But I told you guys, I'm going to be fair straight across the board with all these guys. I think JoJo's a fit, so love that. I'm not sure. Did you see a report on that? Because that's a nice fit there.
I didn't see a report. That was just what Drew was throwing out there. He said the Cardinals are scouting the Yankees quite a bit lately. So
I'm going to call that this happens. It just makes so much sense. Jack Curry just reported the Yankees desperately want to find a left-handed arm. Where's that going to come from? Right.
When I saw he dropped that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And Ninja Hot Dog with the 5. Also a member here, Yankees Unloaded. So thank you for doing so. And again, guys, if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button below. I always forget to give people the instruction. People ask me, so hopefully that helps. Ninja says the offense is more dead than most want to say. They aren't clutch. They fall asleep as soon as we fall behind. They have the potential, but don't try. So I'm going to say this about the offense. A, Jake's dad is not very high on the offense. Not as high as the run differential suggests. Okay, we'll say that. But I want to say this. There's also something to be said about momentum, especially when you're headed to a deadline and you're losing baseball games at the back end of your bullpen. The players, when you guys tell us you're not confident, we should sell. We don't think Brian Cashman's going to... Jake, you think Brian Cashman's going to land the big fish, right? Most don't. So if most people don't think Brian Cashman is going to let it all hang out and take a risk to bring in the players to fix a team that needs a lot of fixing, let's be honest, well then, why should the players be sitting in their clubhouse or walk up to the plate thinking, oh, well, if we can sneak off a win here, we can get some real momentum? Maybe those players are sitting in the locker room saying, we're short and maybe no reinforcements are coming. That also can be an aspect of why you don't see players as rejuvenated. Now, they're not going to tell us they're quitting. That would never happen. But you can sort of see it on players' faces. Are they bringing the energy? And the deadline should, in theory, especially for teams that are suggesting they're buyers, it should give you a shot in the arm just before that deadline.
No, that's absolutely true. I think the offense, it's really just that situational aspect of it that they're lacking. And, I think that it gets covered up because they've had those big explosions of, offensive games, the 20-run type of, whatever. But we're seeing it. I mean, today, they weren't able to pick up the young pitcher today. They weren't able to pick up Cam. So, that's what I would say about that. But Slim, we appreciate the 2. Train the Martian would be stupid as F. Well, depends on what you get.
And I only agree if Kyle Tucker is out of the fold. If Kyle Tucker is an impossibility and they're not, if you trade the Martian and you're assuming you're getting an arm, right? Assuming you're getting a big time arm, you're getting Duran or whatever have you. Well, you can turn around in the winter if people don't think we're going anywhere. Well, this trade technically would be teeing you up with roster control on Duran for a better team in 2026 where you can buy, and I'm just going to tell it to you guys straight, Kyle Tucker is better than any version of Jason Dominguez in the future. Jason Dominguez is a good player. There's no player that is not good on one side of the ball that's better than Kyle Tucker that plays this sport. There's just not. So, yeah, I would agree just in a vacuum. I'm not looking to trade the Martian, but it's more so about what comes next. And, yeah, we're not very excited about what is actually showing up here in the near future. And Brian with the 5, the GOAT, also in the Hall of Fame of commenters, says, can we kidnap the guy who makes the trades in Tampa? They fleece everyone. They traded a journeyman pitcher for Caminero. Yeah, we would like to probably win more trades.
I don't
the Yankees
even know.
Definitely have their fair share.
They traded Tobias Myers. I don't even know who that is.
Tobias Myers. I've never heard of him.
They got Junior Caminero in exchange for right-handed pitcher Tobias Myers.
I've heard of Tobias Harris, but he plays for the Philadelphia. Well, actually, I don't even know who he plays for
That
anymore.
makes sense.
Not Philadelphia. I don't know.
Caminero was an unranked prospect while Myers was on the cusp of making the major leagues. All right, well, if the Rays ever trade you, okay, they trade you for an unranked prospect, they give you a top prospect, you should know that top prospect is booty, and you have something that they want. You should know that they're probably a super, super hidden gem. And
yeah,
you should never
there's no
trade
way
with them.
Tampa is not going to give you something that is at the top of their system. A team that doesn't want to spend. Like, they spent on Wander Franco, and everyone was like, I can't believe it. We were shocked that it happened. Now, mind you, they signed him early, but you guys get the point. Tampa's not looking to spend money. So when they give you a prospect at the top of their system, just know that prospect is not any good.
Yeah. Myers
He's not
is
good.
on Milwaukee, but he's not Caminero. That's the end of story. He's
Right.
pitched 5 starts and he has a 4.30 ERA. He's just a guy.
Completely agree. And Ed W with the 10. Ed, thank you. Welcome back. Says the Judge injury could be a blessing. If Boone doesn't play with his food, relegating Judge to DH should force Ben Rice to first base and Paul Goldschmidt as a righty pinch hit defensive sub. If Stanton can play right field, so be it. Now, mind you, injuries are usually always bad. Most often, they're terrible. However, sometimes I know there's some consolation. You can sort of look at it and say, Jake, earlier in the season, you said Jazz Chisholm getting hurt, and you were forced to preface the statement by saying you didn't want Jazz to get hurt. But Jazz was one of the worst baseball players in the league before he got hurt at the end, at the beginning of this year. And you said, I think this can be a nice way to reset. But in this case of what Ed's bringing up, it forces you in terms of roster construction to use the team maybe the way it should be used, perhaps. So what do you think about this, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to say losing Judge to injury is going to be a blessing, but I get the sentiment, Ed, totally understand it, because I also said the same thing about Jazz. I just think Judge is just on another level where, his presence just being off the field is just felt immediately. They do feel like they're missing Judge right now.
It feels like a hospital waiting room at Yankee Stadium. It's just completely lifeless. And why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? If we're sitting here just in front of the division series and Shohei Ohtani goes down with an injury, or Mookie Betts is out indefinitely and they think he's not going to participate in the postseason, a Freddie Freeman, well, yeah, it takes the wind out of your sails. And how are we supposed to feel confident coming into this? So I'm just not sure what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I've told you guys, this is just a complete wild card of a deadline.
No, definitely. Oh, looks like we skipped Luis Soto.
Oh, we're sorry, Luis. Luis Soto, thank you for the 10. Also a member here at Yankees Unloaded. Says teams are clearly trying to fleece the Yankees on deals because they're so desperate for relievers. Expect big names to go if they want Duran type. I just don't see the point of it. We ain't winning. So, Luis, let me say one thing here to defend those other teams. This is the way it should go. And I'm going to tell you why. If you know you're selling a house and the buyer walks in and says, we've got to close on our house within the next week, what is that telling the seller? We can sell high. You never show your hand. When you have a reliever group in this poor of condition, and now it makes it look like, oh, those guys are desperate. They need Duran. They have to put in the names that we suggest. Otherwise, they're screwed. Well, hate to break it to you guys, you've put them in a position. If you don't want to be fleeced by Minnesota and send players that otherwise we shouldn't have to send, have a better bullpen. That way it provides you some leverage in negotiation. Brian Cashman sort of made this bet, and now he's forced to overpay to actually accommodate his needs.
I couldn't agree more. The idea that he acts smarter than everyone else, it's like, oh, I'm not going to take part in free agency. I'm just going to trade for everybody. I said free agency was mid, so I understood where he was coming from, but it wasn't everywhere. It was actually the bullpen is where I said they should spend. Esteves, right? I've talked about it a million times. Esteves, Hoffman.
You loved Esteves. Right? You like Hoffman, too. There were a few names that you loved out there, and not many of them were position players. I think Bregman was the one outlier of position players for you.
Why? I waited until the last second. Why was that? Because I felt like his value had decreased because, essentially he had waited so long. Now's the time to get him. But I don't like it because it's on him. The reason why everybody knows that you are in need of bullpen is because you let everyone know when you don't address it in the offseason.
Yeah, Jonathan Loaiza's pitching in the 7th inning, so you think you're not going to have to overpay? Okay, well, if you don't want our player, good luck with Johnny Lowe. Exactly. All those players, all your fans are going to be watching that, or they could be watching our player. Now take your pick. You're either going to play by our rules or we're going to play by yours.
There's 28 other teams as well. So
we see that in the comment section as well. We're not the only team that needs bullpens. So Jonathan with the 5 says, hot take if Cashman trades for Ryan, Jax, and Colomb. We're still not sure how to pronounce his name, but we'll go with Colomb. In a package that includes Jones, I think should win the giveaway. Just kidding. Or am I? Yeah, we won't kill the integrity of the giveaway. but we see what we're doing. And also, thank you for the 5. And we'll get to our last super here because obviously I've got about 4 minutes before I have to go. John, welcome back. He was in here just the other night. Thank you for the 5. Also a member here at Yankees Unloaded. Says, remember the good old days when a team would run the same lineup out every day I miss those days. Maybe John is really Alex Rodriguez.
Maybe. That John
Same take.
Alex Rodriguez sounds just like that sounds like yeah, definitely. I don't know. But we appreciate you, John. All right. So let's what do you want to put in the comment section?
How about this? Let's go nice and simple. And mind you guys, I understand. We're a bad ball club right now. Bad. The Yankees are going to tell you we're buyers. We're going to see what they do, obviously, in hindsight. Let us know what you would do. Would you be simply put, don't tell us the players, none of it. Would you be a buyer or a seller given our position right now? Would you sell on our rentals? Would you sell on some of the value that this organization has and try to reload for a 2026? Are you hopeful that this team, after having sold, will go out and spend on maybe a Kyle Tucker or somebody else to come in here and play better baseball? What would you do with this team? I'm not going to project what I would do. I'm interested to see what our comment section has to say. Now, mind you, don't drop it in our, obviously it's fine if you guys drop it in the live. We would much prefer you guys to reload when we're gone into our actual standalone video so that it helps the algorithm, helps us out. And of course, so we can see it after the fact. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe to Yankees Unloaded. We are going to be giving away a Yankees jersey at 10,000 subscribers, which we've projected should happen sometime in early September, probably late August, to be honest with you. But, yeah. I mean, you guys have been awesome. I see a lot of sell, which is, I can't say is disappointing.
They already sold, Gary. They traded away Cookie today for cash considerations, which I don't even know. But anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Real quick, just Gary's losing it. Real quick, before you guys go, just want to let you guys know, if you want to watch more Yankees Unloaded, we actually have more, in the drafts, the archive. You can go check out. We just had Jabba Chamberlain on. We just had John Morosi. We just had Jim Bowden. I mean, we're gonna keep having interviews, but if you guys haven't checked those out, new content for you. Check it out. Let us know what you think. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and also the like button.
Like this video.